Hey, gun people. Well, let's take a look at the law, property rights, and cops. Uh, this guy gives these cops the what for, and he throws out that he's fought for this country and he's got freedoms, and I'm all for that, and I like his attitude. However, I think he went too far, and when you're when you got the law on your side, you can get away with being right, but being right and being over an asshole might change the law. So let's take a look at this, and I'm going to talk about how these cops could have done, could have manipulated, could have used the law, and could have escalated this more. I'm also going to talk about how they tried to escalate it, and it was BS, and they shouldn't have. And then I'm going to talk about the guy, how he escalated it, and he shouldn't have. So I'm going to piss off pretty much and disagree with everybody in this video at one point. So I'll have the cop haters here saying I'm picking on the cops. I'll have the freedom lovers saying I'm picking on the freedom guy. And when in fact, I'm just trying to explain the law and trying to educate people. But let's see what happens here.
There is nothing here.
Okay.
You're on the property, private property.
So
You
brother,
Lay down.
do you just keep
Go
talking?
away now.
Do you ever listen?
Bye-bye then.
Do you ever listen or you just keep talking?
Oh, I don't
We're
have
having
to.
a conversation.
I don't have to.
Well, we're trying to have a conversation.
This is not a police state.
Well, okay, I didn't
I
say
don't
it was.
want to talk to you, and I
I'm
won't.
talking about just showing
That's
some-
good. Bye-bye then.
I'm just talking about showing some respect
I
and
didn't call
courtesy
you
for other
here.
people.
I'm not going to show you nothing. You're on this property.
Anybody.
You need to show me respect. You're on my property.
We are on your property.
Yeah. So show me respect. Why are you asking me to show you respect?
I'm asking you to be reasonable.
I will
Listen.
not. And you can leave. Bye.
Okay, well, we're not leaving.
Yes, you close the garage.
Okay, now from this video, it appears that the cops have been called here because they were out in the streets, which, being my judgmental, judging everybody by their behavior like I do, I believe these guys were out in the streets being idiots. They're not out in the streets now, but I believe they were. And for all the people that think this guy's 100% right, try living next door to this guy. Hanging out in the garage, yelling, having the cops screaming about rights. You can't do anything. I'm on private property. Look, first of all, I don't think we have private property rights in the U.S. People are going to call me an anti-constitution, but you don't own your property. I've said it before. You don't pay your taxes on your property. You don't pay your monthly fees to the government, so the government allows you to call the property yours. The government takes your property. That is not property ownership, and it's not property rights. Nobody owns their property. We rent it from the government with outrageous property taxes. Can't believe this country was founded on a damn T-tax, and they tax the hell out of us now. Nobody wants to do nothing. But I digress. Let's get back to private property and rights. I'm assuming these guys were called because they were out in the street. If these guys were out in the street, the cops, per policy, not by law, everybody's going to say, cops have no duty to protect. I get that. Cops do not have a duty to protect. But that ruling is under the frame reference of if a cop doesn't have to risk his life if he thinks he's going to die in order to protect you. You can't say, you're required to protect me. I'm going to go out and do something stupid and you're required. I'm going to jump off this building and you've got to stand underneath me and try and catch me. That's a duty to protect, kind of in a framework that the law and the spirit of the law and the intent of the law and how the court ruled. It wasn't that cops have no duty to do their job. It doesn't say that cops have no duty to investigate crimes. And it doesn't say that cops have no duty to follow their departmental policy. So departmental policy says if you get a call of this, you will do A, B, and C. And cops are following policy. And when cops follow policy in the scope of their employment, they get immunity. Although it's limited immunity, they still get it, which means they can kind of do what they want if they're covered under immunity, just like somebody with diplomatic immunity can come over here and shoot you in the head and walk away holding a gun, and he will not get charged because he has diplomatic immunity. Now, that's absolute immunity. Cops, if they break the law, they're out of the scope of their employment, then the immunity doesn't follow them. So it's still a lower level immunity, but it's still immunity. And you want to be careful when you're poking somebody with immunity in the eye. And I know the people are going to be like, oh, you're just a government thug, jackhammer, boot guy. Whatever. I'm just telling you, people. Look, cops have a job to do. Once they get there because they're investigating a lawful call, a 911, a call of a crime, they have to investigate. Policy sends them there. They're in the scope of their employment. They get limited immunity. It may not be a good idea to poke them. Everybody gives me shit every time I say when a black guy messes with the cops, I'm picking on black people. Well, this guy's white, and he's being a dummy. Although he's right in his words that he should be safe and secure on his property, he should have private property rights. The government shouldn't be allowed to go on there and ID him. The government should not come in there and be oppressive and tyrannical and start ordering him around his own property. I get all that. But you can't be out in the middle of the street causing a disturbance, possibly getting hit and run over. The neighbors are calling. They don't know if you're drunk. They don't know if you're 5150. They don't know if you're going to pull a gun out. They don't know what the hell you're doing, but you're not being reasonable. You're not following the rules of what a society wants, and therefore law enforcement is called. And law enforcement has to respond. People go, cops don't have to help. There's no duty to protect. They don't have a duty to risk their life and protect you if you're being stupid, but they do have a duty and per policy to respond, to investigate, and to do certain things. That's what these cops are doing. The cops are right for being here, although they're not doing the right things per se, and the property owner is right for having property rights, although he's not doing it the right way either. Let the hate begin.
That's fine. That will resolve the problem. We're just trying to find out what's going on.
There's nothing going on other than, hold on. There's nothing going on other than you being on private property.
I got that.
And this is going to the news.
Oh, that's fine.
So enjoy it.
We're trying to investigate the call out here, sir.
There is
That's
no
all.
nothing.
We're
There's
just
no
asking you
nothing.
to try to answer some basic questions. If you can answer them, then we'll go. I mean, we're just trying to figure out what's going on, man.
I'm trying to figure out why you're not leaving when you're told to.
I told you that.
That's the law.
We're investigating the call for sure.
You can investigate that from the sidewalk and off of my property.
You can leave the property right now.
Okay,
You're not leaving?
we're not leaving.
Until
Okay, so here's where a lot of private property people get confused. And the old theory is, hey, if the mailman can walk up or walk on it or approach in the same path the cops are, then the cops are legal to be there and it's not considered private. It's considered a public access. This driveway is a public access because it is not gated. It's not blocked off. And if the mailman was delivering a package, he could walk up there and set it by the garage door. So the cops are where they're allowed to be. That's another in the prong test of when cops get immunity. Were you where you were at? Were you in the scope of your employment? Were you within policy? Were you in the performance of your duties? Those are all prongs of the test that gives them immunity. So the cops are authorized to be where they're at. You can holler private property. They're all caught up on the property line, the sidewalk, and all. You know what? He's wrong there. And I think the law is wrong saying that just because the mailman can go there, government can go there. But what I think doesn't necessarily change the law. I'm just telling you how to survive within the law and how not to step on your pee-pee so when you're in court and you're like, but I was right, and then the Constitution, and then the fourth, the fifth, the private fifth, and second, and you start hollering all this crap, and you end up in jail. And then you're like, well, Rick's just a bootleg jack liking cops. Okay, whatever. Drop me a note when you're in jail. Let me know how that works out. So this guy is on the wrong tangent, telling him to get across the property line, get on the sidewalk. The cops aren't leaving because they don't have to. Now, does that mean they're investigating, or are they really promoting this, or do they know this is going nowhere? I'll tell you exactly what they're doing. They're looking around and waiting for the know-it-all expert to make a mistake. And as soon as he makes a mistake and he reaches or he goes somewhere where there might be a weapon, or they see a bulge, or his behavior gets threatening, or his hand gestures become so close that the officer felt, here it is, in quotes, fear of my safety, officer safety. When you start acting and running around and talking with your hands and yelling and being kind of a jerk, guess what? You give government the rope to hang you. That's what this guy's doing.
When?
Well, I'm just trying to ask you what's going on, sir.
Can you call your supervisor then?
Yeah, I want to know what's going on here. Why you?
There's a supervisor above
No,
you.
sir, there's no one else working above me.
So, were you a sergeant or lieutenant?
So we have 3 cops and we have 2 guys. They're both talking. The cops are looking, evaluating, trying to stay safe. Now, look, I'm not taking these cops' sides. I mean, look, the guy in the street, make your contact. If he refused to identify, you've complied with your policy. You showed up, leave. Move on. It's not personal. A lot of younger cops take it personal. This is my, especially like the Highway Patrol, California Highway Patrol, the worst. It's all about territory and turf. This is my highway. This is my state. My badge says state police. My badge. And local cops will get that way too. This is my city. These are my streets. You can't tell me what to do. I'm here to protect. You can't. And it becomes personal. And when you're younger, you kind of want to defend your badge, think you're doing the right thing. And you have all this brainwashing from the academy about how great you're going to do. And when it all boils down to it, as you get older, you figure out it's all politics, BS, tax collecting crap. But look, don't take it personal. These cops are kind of looking for contempt of cop. They're trying to be right. They're trying to say, we're not leaving just because you told us. You're being a jerk. We're trying to check off boxes to cover our ass for our job on what we're required to do. And you don't want to let us check off those boxes. You just want to be argumentative and tell us how great you are and how you got your law degree from the Walmart Law School. And suddenly one of us has to either back down or one of us has to escalate. In this situation, I think they're all escalating.
Lieutenant.
So there's no captain on above you.
No, sir.
Okay,
So we're just gonna ask some questions.
I'm not answering.
You can shut the door if you want.
I'm not answering any, but you can ask me. No, I like watching you those violations.
Okay.
Police state stuff.
It's not a police state, sir.
It's not. You came on.
Listen, we came
That's
on a piece
property-
of property where any other person can walk onto.
That's the property line, right?
I understand.
And when they don't leave, okay, let's say there's somebody on my property. I call you out because I don't want them on my property. What would you do? You would trespass them, right?
That line,
Well,
right?
you'd have to ask them to leave.
Okay, I asked them to leave and they don't. You would then trespass them, right?
We've asked all 3 of you.
That's a good point. If you call on your property and somebody's trespassing, the law enforcement will call and say, hey, the property owner has told you you're trespassing. If you refuse to leave, you can be arrested. And if you don't leave, the cops can arrest you for trespassing. So they're right in this law. So why is it different for the cops? Well, for one, they're government, and the rules rarely apply to government. You think you own your house when you don't. You think you know the law when you don't. The cops are allowed to be there because the mailman's allowed to be there. If you don't want the mailman coming on your house, put up a fence with a lock and a gate. And when the mailman can't get there, then the cops can't get there without a warrant, consent, or exigency. Do they have warrant? No. Do they have consent? No. They told them to leave. So why are they there? Are they really falling under exigency? Remember, exigency is normally for protection of life, destruction of evidence, public safety. Those are the things that they use for exigency. Can they apply that? Yeah, they could stretch and bend the law a little bit and say, if I was there and I want to do some creative report writing, I could say, hey, I called these guys who were in the street. I thought they were a danger. I thought they were going to get somebody run over. They're going to cause somebody to have an accident because they're in the street. When I got there, they were uncooperative. When I tried to ID the guy, he was moving around, talking aggressively, getting loud. He was disturbing the peace of the residents. We were already called there for disturbing the peace. He refused to calm down. He refused to be quiet. He refused to ID himself. He refused to do all this. Because of his uncooperativeness, I thought he might be a risk. I went to pat him down for officer safety because he had a couple bulges on him. I couldn't tell if he was carrying a weapon, and because of uncooperative behavior, I felt I would pat him down. I pat him down. I found a pocket knife. He told me he didn't have any weapons, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you can play the word game, and you may beat the charge, and you may get the DA to dismiss it, and the DA go, you know what? I can't really put this on a jury. Let's let the guy go. And that's after you've spent a night in jail, you've been arrested, you now have a record, you've been fingerprinted, you're photographed. Now you have to pay a lawyer fee, you have to pay bail bondsman fee, all to prove that you were right. Man, I just got a problem with that logic.
Well, I'm asking the same thing of you. Please leave my property.
You guys don't want to listen to anybody. You just want to talk.
This
That's
is
all
our
you wanna do.
property. We can do
But
whatever
you asked
we
to have a
want.
conversation. None of you
But
guys
you
want to
understand someone
listen.
called and said that you guys were in the street.
I don't give a fuck. We're not there, are we?
I haven't gone past that second line of my
Get outta here.
side of my driveway
Leave.
since this
No,
afternoon.
it's not.
Okay, you hear how loud they are? See all that large hand gestures? See them moving around? It would be very easy for some creative. And I know people are going to say, "You're a bootleg. I bet you abuse." Whatever. Look, sometimes you got to deal with shit. I mean, they might let this one go. This might be the third time they've been there. We don't know. This might be the fifth time this week because they're there every night dealing with this. At some point, cops get tired of coming. And if you make cops keep coming, they're going to find a way to take you to jail because they have immunity, because they can, because of their government, because you're being a jerk. Whatever the reason, I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying they can. And some officers will, and you end up losing. So, you can play how it is. These guys do a good job of, and these cops do an okay job until a few minutes here.
We didn't call you.
Can you
Get
guys
the fuck out of
Can you
here.
guys live here, I assume?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Property.
That's
Get
fine.
the fuck off the property.
Okay.
Now.
We're done.
Now.
It's not because you're telling me.
I don't give a fuck if it is. It should be because it's not your property.
You don't need to try to
Do I
convince
come to your house?
don't know.
Do I come to your house?
I have no idea.
Hey, get on your property? No. Leave. 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 Go. Leave it.
I've got to speed it up here just for time. Does he go to his house? No, because he's not in the scope of his employment. He's not called. He's not required. His job isn't to go and deal with jerks. That's why he doesn't go to his house. Now, I actually like this guy because he served the country. He's a vet, and he's a freedom guy, and I get what he's standing up for. I don't agree with the way he's doing it, and he hurts the cause when he gets arrested, and now he gets charged, and then he resists when he gets charged, and one of the officers get hurt, and then they charge him with hurting, and now he's got a felony, and now he can't own a gun, and now there's one less good, freedom-loving, constitutional-type guy who can't own a gun or he's a felon. I mean, don't let the government trick you into disarming you. I mean, this is just kind of BS.
Bye-bye then.
Like to give your name?
Go bye-bye then. It doesn't matter.
Part two.
I'm going to have fun with my lawyer and you. Bye. Get out of here.
They're leaving. The guy didn't know when to shut up. You know what? There's an old saying, never miss a great opportunity to shut the hell up. This guy doesn't know when to shut up. They are leaving. He's won. He can't let it go. This is when it gets personal for the cops, and this is when the cops start pushing back.
Go. Nobody gives a fuck what you want. Coming on this property without permission. Police state motherfuckers right there. All of them.
So he's calling them motherfuckers, police state. And again, in Texas, I don't agree with it, but using foul language in public or language that could provoke a response or be considered insulting or you can look up the exact terminology. And in other states, they all have the same disorderly conduct. It's kind of the catch-all, just like drunk in public. If you got alcohol in your breath, it's catch-all. I'm thinking this guy wasn't drinking because if he was and they smelt alcohol, they would have hooked him for drunk in public. But Rick, he's on private property. He can't be. He's not on private property if he's in an area where a public can approach. He's out there dealing with the cops in a public open area where other people can hear. It's not considered private property. You can be arrested on your own property for being drunk in public. Rick, that's not the law. It's against the Constitution. You're a jack. Whatever. I'm just telling you. People want to get mad at me for telling the truth, and I'm telling you what the law is, and I'm telling you how it's going to play out, and then you want to get mad at me and think I agree with it. I made the laws, and therefore I'm anti what? Pay attention, people. Keep your eye on the ball, freaking dummies.
Stop shining that. Give me a light to shine in their face.
I don't have one.
Give me a spotlight.
Give me a spotlight to shine in their face. So he wouldn't shut up, so now the cops are shining their light in their face. Is this legal, lawful? I got a problem with this. I think the cops are wrong. They are intentionally harassing this person when they don't need to be there. They've left, and what they've done is kind of abandon their investigation. They've turned away and walked away. Either their investigation had legs or it didn't. They left. They need to get in their cars and leave. This shining the lights and playing the game is this contempt of cop. I'm pissed off at you. You can be a jerk. I can be a jerk. You can't do nothing about me being a jerk. I can't do nothing about you being a jerk. And the day the two jerks met, normally bad things happen. So this is just constant evaluation of bullshit. And, you know, this video is like, oh, the name of this video is Man Tells Off Cops Like You've Never Seen. Yeah, see, that's because you're looking at it from one-sided like, hey, man, this guy's great. He got away with this, and he didn't go to jail. I'm going to act just like him. You're going to end up going to jail if you act like this guy. This guy is lucky he didn't go to jail. Rig your Jack. Shut up, you big dummies.
We're not stupid enough to be carrying weapons around police officers.
We can do what we want. Property, right here. Right here. Property.
While we firmly believe in the right to carry, we don't in this state.
Headlights on.
I just want you to think of the weapons, that's all. I can't
Well,
see
then you
it.
need to
Any weapon I may have is inside the house.
We're on public street now, so
Wow. So now we're going to start talking about we don't have weapons. We don't have weapons. We have weapons, but they may be inside the house. When you start getting in a discussion with cops about weapons, you're going to lose. It's very easy for a cop to say it appeared threatening. They were already uncooperative. They were talking about weapons. They said they were in a house. We don't believe them. We don't believe anything. They said they weren't in a road. We had 3 911 calls that said they were in a road. They described the guy's shirt. We know he was in a road. He's already lied to us. He's refused ID. He's using loud, provoking, insulting language. He's calling us a motherfucker. I mean, you're just not going to look real good in court if this goes to court. So,
Hi.
Yeah, that's fine. You can stand out there all day long.
Where's the spotlight?
I don't have one.
Yeah, here, give me that.
Shove it in their face.
Don't cross the line. Don't cross the line.
no, I don't care. I don't want you to know how many weapons there are. I can't see what's in your.
You have weapons?
Well, you have something, man. I can't see what it is.
I have no weapons.
Okay, vape pen. Yeah, that's fine. I just want to make sure.
So you now know what it is. Get the light out of my face.
That's fine.
So now you're going to have property owners who, when cops are off their property in a public street, are going to start telling them what to do. You know what these cops are doing? They're waiting for these guys to step out in the street and get in their face so they can go to jail. Like I said, the guys have done just enough to kind of, if the cops take them to jail, the cops aren't going to come out looking. Now, I think the cop looks bad here. This is BS. If I was the sergeant, if I was a lieutenant reviewing this, if I was this department, I would probably write these guys up and go, you know what? Don't be harassing the public. Go there, do your damn business, and leave. When you turned your back and walked away, your job was to get in the car and get the hell out of there until you had more. It was not to sit out there and play blind the guy with my 1,400,000 candle watt power flashlight and play harassment and try to provoke a response. At this point, to me, the cops have become the aggressor, and they are the one that's inciting this. Now, I'm not saying the guys handle it right, and I'm not saying these guys didn't deserve it because they were being jerks. But government should be held to a higher standard. These cops are wrong. They should be written up. I hope these guys filed a complaint. Even though they were jerks, I would still write these cops up for getting down in the gutter. Remember, if you roll around in the mud with a pig, you'll only get dirty, and the pig just enjoys it. Don't let people drag you down like that.
Are y'all done here?
Yeah, we're done.
Then why are you sitting here shining that in my face rudely?
I just want to make sure.
I'm a taxpayer here.
I just want to see what's.
You came on this property without our permission.
We understand that.
We did not
You're
call
not
you.
getting a call for
Please
service.
leave.
Okay.
We did not call you.
Stand in the public street now.
That's good. Leave.
Okay, so he's off the property. He's still telling him. He's still antagonizing. He still wants to argue. He still wants to escalate. Look, a DA could kind of view this either way. When you get into these situations, like I said, you may beat the crime, but you ain't going to beat the ride. Look, when you get in these situations, you give the DA, if you make yourself look like enough of a pain in the ass, the DA can say, you know what? You went way past reasonableness, and your actions were so egregious and so outrageous and so disruptive to the neighborhood and to people watching and to the officers, and you wasted time and resources by being an idiot. I'm going to go ahead and charge you. Even though I may not get a conviction, I'll get you to plead. I'll get you to hire an attorney. I'll get you to show up in court, and then maybe I'll dismiss the charges. Because remember, the DA has immunity too, and he doesn't care how much he costs you or inconveniences you or gets your record jacked up or makes you take a plea deal. He can harass you, and if you make him look like you're that much of a jerk, he just may take the time to harass you. So, look, take it for what it's worth. It's 5 minutes into an 8-minute video. The cops, they argue for another 3 minutes. They scream at him. They tell him to get the fuck out of there. Total disaster. Not the right way to handle it. That's my take. Hopefully you got something out of it. We'll end that there.